All right, first up, the Betty and Barney Hill case. You've probably heard of it. It's often called the first major abduction account in the US. But what makes it so important for an investigator is that it gave us the very first piece of tangible, testable evidence.
Now here's what's interesting. The smoking gun didn't show up right away. The actual encounter happened in 1961, but the critical piece of evidence, the map, didn't come out until 3 years later and only under hypnosis. For an investigator, that time gap is huge. It suggests a memory that's been buried deep, not a story someone just cooked up.
So while under hypnosis, Betty Hill was asked to just draw what she saw. And this is what she produced. A pretty detailed star map that she claimed was shown to her while she was on the craft. From an investigative standpoint, this is gold, a physical object that came directly from a witness's memory. And this is the kicker. 5 years after she drew it, astronomers identified a near-perfect match, the Zeta Reticuli star system. Now think about that. This system was pretty much unknown to the general public in 1964. And even more amazing, the map's perspective was from a point of view out in space, looking back at the system. How could a layperson in the early 60s possibly invent that, let alone draw it with such accuracy?
Okay, let's put a pin in the map for a second and move on. We're shifting gears from a physical drawing to something just as powerful, maybe even more so. The raw sound of genuine, unfiltered fear. Welcome to the Pascagoula incident.
You have to put yourself in the shoes of the police here. Two guys, Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker, come in with this wild abduction story. You'd be skeptical, right? So the cops did what any good detective would do. They left him alone in a room with a hidden tape recorder, waiting to catch them laughing about their big hoax.
But what they heard wasn't two guys plotting or laughing about pulling a fast one. What the tape captured was pure panic. It was the private, visceral terror of two men trying to make sense of what just happened to them. For law enforcement, that raw emotion, that became the most convincing evidence they had.
Our next two files really get at a core principle of any investigation. There is strength in numbers. Look, a single witness can be wrong. They can be confused. But a whole group of people, all telling the exact same incredible story, well, that's a lot harder to just brush aside.
Take the Travis Walton case in 1975. The man disappears in a flash of light right in front of 6 of his coworkers. When they go to the police, they aren't treated like witnesses. Nope, the cops immediately treated them like murder suspects. The pressure on these guys was absolutely immense.
So, to try and break their story, the authorities brought out the polygraph, the lie detector. Now, people debate its accuracy, but for police in a potential homicide case, it's a go-to tool. It measures all those things you can't control when you're lying under pressure: your heart rate, your breathing, your blood pressure. The goal was simple: see if 6 guys could keep a lie straight when their freedom was on the line.
And here's where the pattern of corroboration gets really interesting. In the Walton case, every single one of the 6 witnesses passed their polygraphs. The machine said they were telling the truth. Then, just 1 year later, in a totally separate incident, the Allagash case, you have 4 men who, under separate hypnosis, produced drawings of their captors and the inside of the ship that are eerily identical. So you have one group verified by machine and another verified by the uncanny consistency of their own minds.
Our last case file? This one brings us to the kind of evidence an investigator dreams of. Something concrete, something physical, something that wasn't just seen but was actually left behind, inside the witness himself.
So way back in 1977, a US Air Force veteran named Terry Lovelace has a terrifying encounter. For decades, that's all it was, a story, a traumatic memory. But then, 35 years later, a routine trip to the doctor for a leg injury changes absolutely everything.
He gets the leg x-ray, and boom! There it is, a strange metallic implant with these bizarre wire-like tentacles just lodged deep in his leg. It had been sitting there, completely unknown to him, since the night of his encounter in 1977. This medical imaging, it's direct physical proof that corroborates his story of being experimented on.
All right, let's step back and look at the whole picture. We've looked at a verifiable star map, we've heard recorded terror, we've reviewed polygraphs and drawings, and we've seen an X-ray of a physical implant. What does all this tell us when we lay it out together?
What's so compelling from an investigator's point of view is the pattern. These aren't just 5 similar stories. They are 5 completely different cases, each backed by a different type of high credibility evidence. You've got a verifiable artifact,
a psychological record, corroborated testimony, and finally, hard physical proof from medical imaging.
And that's really the bottom line here, isn't it? An investigator's job isn't to believe or disbelieve a story. It's to follow the evidence wherever it leads. And in these 5 specific cases, the evidence is tangible, it's consistent, and frankly, it demands to be taken seriously.
Which of course leaves us with one big, unavoidable question. If we accept the evidence as it's presented, the verified map, the genuine terror, the past polygraphs, and the physical implant, if we conclude these aren't just stories, then what exactly are we looking at here? What are these files really evidence of?